And at this time, I'd like to introduce the speaker for today, who is a GSEP alum and a fellow EDOL alum. Dr. Nicole Johnson is the founder and CEO of Tetra Core Consulting, a certified women-owned consultancy firm providing coaching services to C-suite and executive women leaders on emotional intelligence, leadership development, positive organizational change, and general management training. With decades of experience in education, negotiation, and coaching, Dr. Johnson was nominated for the Black Business Leader Hall of Fame Pioneer in Education Ruby Bridges Award. That's a mouthful right there. But that's wonderful. She teaches negotiation and emotional intelligence as part of WIN Summit, which stands for Women in Negotiation, and is in partnership with Columbia University. She earned a Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership degree from Pepperdine University in 2012, under the tutelage of now Dean Dr. Farzeen Majidi. She possesses a master's degree in Education, Learning, and Teaching, and a Bachelor of Arts in English from the University of San Diego, and most recently, a Women's Entrepreneurship Certificate from Cornell University. Dr. Johnson's heart is set on supporting others to move beyond where they currently are to where they want to be. Her presentations are known to be engaging, empowering, and always entertaining. So it is my pleasure to bring to the podium Dr. Nicole Johnson.
Good morning and welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to move around, so I'll start here, but I'm going to end up out there closer to all of you. My name is Dr. Nicole Johnson, and I am so pleased to be back here again. My sister, Dr. Laura Manyweather, we also present together. She was unable to be with us today, and we just love Vanessa, her team, and the Women's Forum, and being able to share insights about leadership, about love, and about leading differently. And so immediately when Vanessa called, my sister and I started to brainstorm. We're like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, I don't know, but Dean Majidi, what would he talk about? He's talking about miracles. I'm like, how do you top miracles? So it's wonderful. I really, really appreciate and love Dr. Majidi. I remember his classes, and I remember some of the things he shared with us, like go for the $1 million degree. You're here as executive women, as executive leaders, like stand up in your power. And so today that's what we want to talk about: leading authentically, leading within, leading with love, and leading with power.
If I ask you to think of a leader, whom would you think of? I would think of Moses standing in front of his people with the 10 Commandments in his arms. I would think of Martin Luther King standing before his country with a dream in his heart. I would think of Malala standing in front of the world with the Nobel Peace Prize in her small hand. When we think of a leader, we often think of this very dynamic. One person standing alone, speaking passionately to a crowd. That person made into a leader because others are following her. I've been a student and teacher of leadership for the past 3 decades, and this is what I have learned: that the image that we conjure up when we think of true leadership is a false image. We respect the leaders in our lives, our Bibles, and our history books, and we often revere them. Even if these leaders have never been elevated to a mountaintop or to the steps of a monument, we elevate them in our imagination. But that high position is not why we hold them in such a high regard. We admire our leaders because they have held themselves to such a high standard, and in doing so, they have inspired us to do the same. At the age of 20, he became king. He was a fearless fighter. He was undefeated in battle. He was Alexander the Great. About 2,300 years ago, Alexander marched his troops through the Persian desert. It was dry, it was desolate, and it was scorching hot. About 30,000 of his men were tormented by thirst, and so was he. A small group of infantrymen decided to go off and search for water. They searched and searched, and they finally came upon a small ravine of refreshing water. Excitedly, one of the soldiers started to scoop up the water and rush it back to their leader. But when Alexander saw his men coming back, he only had one concern, and that was about quenching the spirit of his troops. And so when they handed him the helmet, he took the helmet and he said, "Thank you," showing truly appreciation. Thank you for the water. But then he took that same helmet and he held it up in full view of everyone to see. And he did the unimaginable. He took the helmet and he turned it upside down, spilling the water to the ground. The message was clear, that if his troops didn't have anything to drink, neither would he. This demonstration of leadership is how he became known as Alexander the Great. Not because he was able to build empires or conquer nations or conquer armies. No, he became great because he was able to conquer an instinct that most of us have. And that instinct is to think that leaders are superior. What he understood so profoundly is that leaders aren't great because they have power. Leaders are great because they can empower others. Understanding this truth was one of his greatest victories. When he saw despair, he was able to inspire hope. When he saw struggle, he was able to inspire success. Great leaders make us feel what they feel. They make us feel that we can do the unthinkable. That is why when we often think of leadership, we often think of it as adoring crowds, and we think leadership is an external quality. But leadership has always been and will always be an internal quality. To lead outwardly, you first must learn to lead from within. People always ask me, how can I become a great leader? They want to know the answers to the question of what, where, when, and even why should I be a great leader? But they're forgetting the most important question of all. Who? Who am I? What do I stand for? What am I willing to sacrifice for? When you are able to answer the question of who, it's the beginning of understanding self. And when you understand self, you develop for yourself your own personal GPS, one that will always direct you. Each and every one of us, every day, faces all kinds of storms of situations. Without a solid set of values, it will feel as if we are experiencing our challenges and our storms for the very first time. As we try to keep up with the ever-evolving world around us, each and every one of us must develop an inner architecture. We must develop our own core inner compass. But how do we do that? We must identify what are our values. We must learn what's important to us. And then we must take all that information and use it to serve others.
Did you like that video? Yes, leading within. Authentic leadership is built on one foundation, a set of self-awareness, transparency, building genuine relationships with others, ethical decision-making, and a commitment to make a positive impact. Leaders who embody these traits and functions are more likely to earn the respect and trust of their team members and achieve sustainable results. Some of the sets of the foundational traits are here. It helps you to distinguish yourself from other leadership styles. While specific traits and behavior may vary among individuals, here are 5 core functions and behaviors I think of when I think of leading within, leading with love, and leading with power. Self-awareness. You have to have a deep understanding of yourself. Who am I? What do I stand for? And what do I do? Take a moment and jot some notes down. Yeah. Yeah. With self-awareness, you're able to engage with regular self-reflection, to assess your beliefs and your own motivation. This level of self-awareness allows you to make decisions that align with your core principles. Transparency. Authentic leaders are open and honest in your interactions. You share information openly with your team members, with others. You admit your own mistakes. You pivot. You make changes. You acknowledge your vulnerabilities. This level of transparency fosters trust and credibility, as team members can rely on the leader's authenticity. So when I look at that line, open with their team members and admit their mistakes, that means I'm not playing my cards too close to my chest. You know, a lot of times you might go in negotiations or leadership talks or a meeting, and you might already have your mind made up about something, like, I'm going to give them a no, right? I woke up this morning, it's 9 o'clock, they're getting a no. So your mind's already set. You already have a programmed decision in there. And what people are looking for is typically a non-programmed decision, not all the time. Your day-to-day is probably filled 9 to 5 with programmed standard operating procedures, different ways of responding and handling things. Go to the binder, go to the book. What does HR say? You know, like that. So you're constantly like referring outside of yourself to make a decision. But a lot of times you have to go within. We have 3 operating brains in our body. 3 that I operate with. I have my gut brain, which is my sensing, feeling, my oldest brain. It tells my body exactly what it needs and exactly what to do. When I dishonor this, I'm always like, oh man, why did I do that? When I go against it, when I reject it, when I override it. Then I have my heart, my feeling brain. This lets me know how am I feeling about the situation? Am I feeling flustered? Am I feeling tight? Am I in the box with someone? How might I get out of the box with someone? How might I use an outward mindset? I have my feeling brain to help me out with that. And then I have my newest brain, my logical brain. I have 3 brains I'm responding to throughout the day. I'm checking in with myself. When people say, check in with yourself, I used to go, what do they mean by that? But now I know what they mean. And I understand, because I'm operating using 3 brains. Now, if you're only using this brain, your logical left mind, which many of you have trained well at Pepperdine, at other institutions of learning, through your parents and things like that, you've trained your critical left brain, your L-directed brain. Sensing, critical, ego, that's that side, analytical. But your right brain is your creative brain. It's when you're tapping into spontaneity, intuition, spirituality. You have to use an androgynous mind, your left and your right brain, your feeling brain, and your sensing and knowing brain. If you understand that, give me a 2 clap. Yes, you got to use all 3 brains when you're leading authentically. Genuine relationships. Now, you know, how do you be genuine with someone? You just cut through the noise. You look at their name badge and you say, Leslie, would you help me today? You just cut through all the chatter. You cut through the formalities. You cut through the nonsense. You look behind her lashes. You look beyond her makeup. You look behind all of her hair and her shoes, and you stop judging for 3 seconds and just see the person and say, good morning. I see you. May I get your coffee for you? Would you like to sit at my table? Don't sit alone. Not here at the Women's Forum. You just get straight to it. We talked this morning. Jenny, tell me your name one more time. And Tanya, we sat here this morning and she said, were you and your mother always close? And I thought, we're just getting straight to it. Okay, we're starting the conference right now. Let's do it. I said, no, we weren't. You know, how do you be genuine with someone? You show up. You show up and you don't judge, and you just say, I'm just going to see them for who they are. Another woman just like me. It could be a trainer, a speaker. I'm just going to see her for who she is. I'm going to see the love and the divinity in you today. And then the judgment, that'll come later. You know, it always kicks in at some point like, oh, she had on too much makeup. Oh, she didn't have on enough makeup. Oh, no. Did you see her in flats? Oh, no. You know, that stuff comes later. But I think when you're being genuine with someone, you're able to smile. You're able to be yourself. You're able to walk in your own power. You're able to compliment one another with ease and joy and laughter. You know, and you could say things like, that skirt is hideous, you know, and she goes, I know, but I wanted to wear it and I got it from Ross and I knew it. But you could say things like that because you're coming from a place of love. You're coming from a place of, I want to get to know you. You're coming from a place of just being authentically you. So that's when I'm thinking of being genuine with other people, making genuine connections with others. Not, here's my business card, call me when you can, but trying to find a way you can really connect with someone. So when you do meet back up again, you have something of value to share. You remember something that they shared with you. Active listening, this can help you offer mentorship and support. These relationships create a sense of belonging and loyalty with you, not just with your team, but with your family. So whenever you're thinking, how can I be genuine? Cut through the noise, cut through the chase. Just get straight to it. How's life treating you? What's on your mind? Is there anything I can take off your plate today? Is there anything I might be able to help with you financially today? Do you need a day off? Would you like to join a spa? Would you like to go to Glen Ivy? Well, I mean, you just cut through the choice. Because why? Because I'm using my sensing brain. I can sense it. I'm using my feeling brain. I could feel it. And I'm using my thinking brain. I'm looking at their face. I can see something's not quite right. Someone looks a little sad. What is it? But they still got dressed. They still made it here, and they drove up the hill. So I'm using all three brains to do this. I think this is how you lead within, lead with power, and lead with love. We're going to pause for a moment. Can you think of 3 things you do to initiate and cultivate genuine relationships? The mic could go around if you'd like to share. Just raise your hand. Yes, Miss Heidi.
Yes, I think about, well, I like to see that there was mentorship when you mentioned genuine, because I realize I offer to do that, especially with young people. Okay. And then when I think about genuine is, I think about the old movie Harvey, and when James Stewart would say, you know, invite you to lunch, and then he'd say, when are we going to do that? So I remember that as a kid. So when I offer something to someone, I do my darndest to follow up, email, call. I'm not just saying, let's do lunch. I'm like, let's do lunch, what time, what date. So I think establishing to follow up with what you say with your words is maybe a mark of being genuine.
Put it on the calendar. Yeah. Don't just blanketly throw it out there. Let's do lunch one day. Such a false connection. At some point, it's going to drop. Put it on the calendar. Someone else, how do you initiate genuine relationships?
I think of the most simple advice I was given by a friend in grad school. Her name was Hannah, and this is more in the context of dating, but it works with anything. Of just, all you have to do is say hi with a smile and a warm face, and it just lowers the bar of what it is to enter into a relationship.
Having an open face, you know, like a face that says, that's my resting face, you know. Some people have a resting face, but having an open face that says, I'm available today, I'm available to you. If you're in a grocery store and you're in a bank, if you're to yourself and you're just, people know that. Why? Because they're sensing and feeling, right? We know our 3 brains, but they're like, oh, she doesn't want to be bothered, you know, like that. Yes.
I think just being myself, you know, just resting in who I am. And there may be times I don't want to be bothered, right? And I can't be genuine if I'm going against where I am in the moment. So I think just initiating a relationship as I am.
Showing up as you are. Anyone else? Yes, we have two hands. It's you.
Thanks. My name's Lorelai, and it's funny because she stole my first two answers. I actually have smile and just walk up and initiate, say hello, and I ask questions. I want to find out about who they are, what their beliefs are, and how I can make them feel comfortable.
Asking questions, getting curious. If you're taking notes, these are great ones.
And Lorelai stole some of mine. I'm Jenny. I was going to say ask questions about them, but also just share genuinely something about me so that, I'm vulnerable in the moment so that they can feel comfortable to kind of let their guard down.
I think sometimes when we get in the box with ourselves and others, it's because we're sensing something from the other party. We might be sensing, like our antenna might be really just amplified. We might be feeling like they're judging me. They're saying something to me and you're picking it up and maybe you can't articulate it in the moment, but you're sensing it. And so then what do? You lock up. You're like, wait a minute. You straighten out your name badge. You put on your crown. You're like, wait, what's going on here? Let me start judging them. And so it's like a battle. You go back and forth with one another. But when I'm sensing that with someone, here's what I do when I'm leading authentically. I humble myself. I could be, I don't know, intimidating maybe to some. And then I try to lower my filter and I don't want to I never want to match anyone unless they're vibrating high. If their frequency is high, I want to go there. But if they're kind of low or in the middle, I don't want to match that energy, and so I'll start asking a couple of questions, seeing if we can be the alchemist and transmute some of that negative energy. And if I can, I can. And if I can't, this is what I'm great at. I walk away. I walk away as a woman leader. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to stand here and just keep taking it on. I take so much and then I have a great day and I just move. I move away from them. Absolutely.
So I'm Lena. Nice, very, very nice seeing everybody today. So you just something really came to my mind when you were talking about maybe feeling that you don't want to match to the higher or to the lower energy. You have your energy, you want to maintain it, and that's perfect. But one thing also that I learned and I would love to share with everybody is having some compassion also with the authenticity. And by that, what I mean is some people sometimes really are having maybe a bad day, or they had bad memories or hurtful memories coming up, to themselves. And it happened to me among, my relationships. So you would sometimes misjudge people as if they don't want to say hi or they have negative energy, whereas they would be the sweetest, just having hard times. So trying to discover those little nuances would be really add some compassion to our genuinity and authenticity. Thank you.
I like that. We have another hand, Lala. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me a chance to be this beautiful forum. I'm really grateful. But this all reminds me of a Rumi's quote. It says, out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Why don't we see everyone with the eyes of compassion and love and care and kindness? Each one of us is struggling. The world is full of so much suffering, so why to bring more suffering to the others, but see with the eyes of compassion, love, and care. So my motto is to spread hugs and joy and love and laughter. So when I go to work, I find persons and I see if they are not in a good mood. I said, hey, Laura, do you need a hug? And she would jump and she said, yes, please give me a hug. I need it. I had a really, really rough night at work. And then when I give her a hug, and I feel that how much she needed it. So that's what we need to do. Just forget about what they will say and what I have to do is not the right thing to do. And just feel the presence of the other person. Go be nice to them and you will see a miracle will happen. negativity will dissolve, and love will come up. We all need love at the end of the day, and acceptance from the others. So that's how we should be more real, authentic, genuine. Spread smiles, spread love, spread hugs. That should be the way. But we are too, like, we are in a box. We think like if we do this, people will judge us. If we do that, they will think like I'm crazy. So it's okay, I'm crazy. Sometimes I tell people, you think like I'm crazy, but that's okay. And they would come, no. Today I need hug. Today I need that smile. Today I need your attention. So be that person. That's what we all need to do. We women are nurturing, loving, kind, and we have that energy to change the world, really, if we be authentic and be ourselves. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be part of this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was actually one of the quotes on, I think it's at the bottom of one of your handouts. How long should you hug someone? Well, I've been reading a lot about this. And okay, so on average, if you want to have the serotonin and the happiness and the dopamine, released in your brain, you need to hug someone for at least 6 seconds. And they say, people, we need about 8 hugs a day. There's a whole song. I'm not going to sing it, but there's a whole song about 4 hugs a day. That's the minimum kind of thing. But you need to hug for at least 6 seconds. Something else I've been practicing is if someone needs a hug or if you need a hug the person until they release. Then you know that something has happened there. Now, I'm not a brain scientist or anything like that, but I've been practicing that. So at least 6 seconds, at least 8 a day, and it can be from strangers, from people you don't know. Like what you're releasing for them is something really good. Dopamine, serotonin, things it's gonna give them a good energy boost. Here's a handout for you. Build a network of positive-minded friends. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. We're going to spend about 90 seconds, as a matter of fact. So find that handout. Share positive energy. Just as a Debbie Downer can bring everyone down, being surrounded by positivity reinforces positivity. Choose friends who focus on the positive, trend heavily towards an optimistic viewpoint, and believe in themselves. So take 90 seconds, list 5 people you know right now who fit this model. Would anyone like to share? Got 5 people? Yes.
Thank you. I won't share about the 5, but I would share about an interesting story about one of them. Sometimes the way others talk to us shifts our brain instantly, even if what we're talking about is truly scary. Like I had a friend a few months ago, I was telling her something terribly scary happening to me. And you know what the reaction was? That's nice, Alia. That's beautiful. I was like, I truly walked away thinking something good is happening in my life, though it made 0 sense. 0. And every time I literally remember her face, all the fear goes away. So it's sometimes that energy, even if it's not that logical, someone lifts you and just tells you release, just without thinking or over analyzing, release the fear. It's just about releasing the fear, and this clears your mind and makes you think of the next step.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Lorelei.
Hi. It's funny because I was watching everybody and everybody was thinking and taking their time, and I surround myself with positive people. I mean, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was the easiest thing to do, so it was just interesting for me. Unless I didn't put enough thought into it, that's possible.
Yeah, we try to look, keep it to 90 seconds. You'll hear me say that. Why? It's to dampen and like lessen your left brain, your L-directed logical mind. So we put a little timer on it, 30 seconds, 90 seconds, so you don't overthink it. And let's say you didn't get 5 people on that list. Did you get one? You know, do you have someone? You know, later on you can add 3 or 4 more, but did you have someone there that you can relate to, call up, you know, and connect with? Anyone else like to share their 5? If you look at me and we make eye contact, that means yes. Yeah. Yes, Carrie.
I didn't write her yet, but I was kind of toying with it because it said friends, but the last person that I thought about was my daughter. She's 8. I have 3, but she's the youngest, and she's always, but like nothing brings her down. She's always positive. She's always loving. She's always caring. She's a little too carefree, but that energy definitely is game changing.
Yes. Would you like to? Okay.
In the same way, my grandmother transformed my life just by being a positive influence, and I am grateful that my family members are that for me too. But I think of our office manager, Mauricio, who's just joyful all the time, and just friends who, no matter what, you're in a bad or a sad day, and they just raise the bar, raise the mood, elevate your own belief in yourself sometimes too.
I think that's great. Living authentically. Like every day we're not going to be at 100%. I don't know about you, but I'm not 100 every day. I feel kind of like close to 100 today. But you know, every day it's going to like temper a little bit, and I'm understanding how to go with the flow, go with that energy, go with that space. And when I need some time alone, a lazy day or just a spiritual day or a play day or things like that, understanding what exactly am I needing, and then go do that thing. So I think that's really important to know too as well. Authentic leaders, we're making balanced decisions. We consider ourselves, our needs, and our perspectives, but also those of others. We're striving for fairness. We're striving for truth and justice and equity. We tend to not compromise our values for short-term gains. And we're willing to make the tough choices when necessary, even if they're unpopular. Positive impact. Authentic leaders aim to have a positive impact on their organizations and society at large. I think we do that anyway as being women. Regardless if you're in a place or a space of leadership, a title, supervisor, manager, none of that matters. That you can lead from any chair, from anywhere within the organization, within your family, within your own home, within your own community. So making a positive impact. They lead with a sense of purpose beyond just personal gains, seeking to make a meaningful difference. How many of you are making a meaningful difference? I'm not going to say where. That's for you to filter, you to like decipher out. Yeah, but you're making a meaningful difference somewhere. They inspire and empower others, team members or family. How many of you are inspiring others? Look at all the hands. Yes. You achieve potential and contribute to the greater good. How many of you are contributing to the greater good? Yeah. In summary, these behaviors associated with the foundational traits include listening, empathy, humility, and vulnerability, and a commitment to your own personal growth. Authentic leaders often serve as role models, setting examples for others to follow. Here are 5 core functions of an authentic leader. This list is not exhaustive, okay? It's just meant to serve as like a starting point for us. It's a guide. Setting the vision. Can you set a clear and compelling vision for yourself, your team, your family, and your organization? When I think of vision, I'm thinking of something that's soul-stirring and compelling. It gets me excited, it gets others excited, and others want to get on board and get behind me and like, what do we need to do to make that happen? It's enthusiasm, it's joy. When I think of a vision, I think of where we are now, but where we're going. I'm looking at the horizon. I'm looking at like what's at the top of that mountain peak. How can we scale it, ladies, today? I have on flip-flops today, so when I'm thinking of vision, I'm thinking it's provocative, it's strong, it's it's soul stirring. This vision is aligned with your values and inspires others to join you in your pursuits. Building trust. Through your transparency and developing genuine relationships, authentic leaders, you can build trust among your members in your team, your family, and your community. Trust is a cornerstone of effective leadership. Here's just a pause and reflect. How and what ways do you build trust? Yes.
For me, I think it comes back to what I said earlier. It's just following through. So if you say something, you just show them over and over that you're good to your word and you're going to do it. So it's actions backing up your words.
Dr. Majidi would say, DWYSYWD. Do what you say you will do. I got that from him. I remember that from 2008s and 9s. Do what you say you're going to do. Practice integrity. How do I build trust? By consistently doing what I say I'm going to do. My son was 5 years old. I just graduated with my master's from the University of San Diego, and he stood up and gave a little speech. And he said, "My mom always does what she says she's going to do. She said she was going to graduate. She graduated. She said she was going to get a truck. She got us a truck. She said she was going to get my car seat in the third row, and I got a car seat in the third row. My mom always does what she says she's going to do." That was at 5, 60 months on this planet. I remember that. So being true to your word, doing what you say you're going to do. Now, what happens when that falls back? Well, I think of the 4 agreements. Try to be impeccable with my word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally. Always do my best. So if I fall short on an agreement, I'm making sure to do what you said. Follow back up. Just pick the baton back up and say, "Oh, I missed it. I was late. I forgot. Can we reschedule for tomorrow?" Like I try to circle. That's admitting the mistake. That's saying, "Hey, I fell short somewhere. I dropped the ball. I double booked. Please forgive. Can we do it again?" Yes, I think we had someone back here.
I think one of the key ways in building trust is being vulnerable. So like having that openness with your team, because a lot of people, it's hard for them to trust professionals and people that are in authoritative positions because they've had bad experiences like with other work environments and so forth. But being vulnerable with your team I think is like the number one way to build trust. And like you've mentioned before, and just having openness and being able to communicate, how to do this and how to do that, but just making sure that you're not leading from a position just because you're this far up, you're at this level, you're leading from within, you're leading from within yourself. So just having that openness and that vulnerability really shines and like helps people like follow you.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. Building trust, it's hard. Why? Because people have been burned. How many of you have been burned? How many of you in the room have had poor leadership? And maybe you weren't in a position to be the leader, but you knew what leadership should look like and feel like, and someone was not exhibiting it. And you were like, "Wait a minute, what's going on? Is it me? No, it's not me. It's the leadership," right? So we felt that. Why? So it's hard to build trust. Here is something, one of our exercises from GSEP. I remember Dr. Majidi, I remember his class, his teachings. It was like, do you believe and do you think that trust can be rebuilt? Now that may be hard for some of you in the room right now, but we had to work through that. Can you rebuild trust? Will you allow yourself to be rebuilt? Will you allow yourself to repair? How might you do that as a leader? How might you do that as a woman? How might you do that as a mother? How might you do that between your daughters, with your sons, with others? Do you believe trust can be rebuilt? Well, in the beginning, I was very rigid. No, that's it. They're out of my life. I'm going to vanquish them. They're it. That's it. They're done. But now I'm understanding that I'm allowing myself and others to rebuild with me. And it's why? Because it's slow, it's steady, it takes time. Are you willing to be slow, steady, and take time with yourself and with others? If so, you're leading authentically. Authentic leaders model our behaviors and the values that we expect of others. We demonstrate consistency between our words and our actions. Like it literally has to lock in the brain. Dr. Silber calls this the 16-inch connection. He was one of my favorite professors at Chapman University. He said, make this connection, kiddo. I was like, what connection, Dr. Silber? He was like, the 16-inch connection, the distance between your left brain and your heart. Now I understand it's heart to heart, really. Brain to brain, heart to heart. It's thinking and feeling and sensing. So you make the connection between your words and your actions. Empowering others. Authentic leaders help empower their team members by giving them autonomy, and responsibility. Your team comes to trust your abilities and provide support as needed. When they trust you, they'll follow you. When they trust you, they'll come. When they trust you, they'll go over and above. When they trust you, right, they know that you're competent, compassionate, caring. When they trust you, they'll do the unimaginable for you. They'll stay late. They'll come early. They'll set up. They'll break down. They won't do it begrudgingly, and they won't just be compliant. When they trust you, people will go the extra mile. You can always find if there's not a lot of trust. It's not hard. You look around. Are people being compliant, just doing their job? Are they willing to stay a little later? They're like, nope, 4 o'clock, time to go. You know, you can always find, it's not hard. And there's always 1 or 2 or 3 that's there. And you're like, oh, this is my tribe. This is my people. So I would say don't discount the others where the trust is low. Just figure out the touching points and the sore pain points and address it. Yeah. When dealing with people, remember something. Remember, you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion. We're dealing with this brain and this brain. I know we're thinking we're always dealing with this brain. I'm hoping that you leave today saying I'm operating with 3 brains all throughout the day. I'm sensing and feeling how I feel about this traffic, how I feel about what I'm thinking about. 3 brains you're filtering it through. So don't discount the other 2 and just go with this one here. Authentic leaders navigate your challenges and conflicts with integrity. You try to remain true to your principles and your values even in difficult situations. You work collaboratively to find solutions and rise to the level of solutions. I love this point. You don't always have to have a problem to do things better. Many people are great at picking out problems, and that's great. We need that type of person. But you don't always have to have a problem just to find better solutions, multiple alternatives, and do things better. Authentic leadership is built on a foundation of self-awareness, transparency, and genuine relationships, making ethical decisions, and a commitment to making a positive impact on self and others. Leaders who embody these traits and functions are more likely to earn the trust and respect of your family, your community, and your team members, and achieve sustainable success. Lead from within. Leading from within means being true to your authentic self. And these are some of the things I think about leading from within. Who am I? What do I do? And how do I do it? First, you got to get intimately and closely knowing yourself. Like, who are you? Like, how do you stand up? How do you show up? When are you being present? Those kind of things. Leading authentically also means to me seeking first to understand, then being understood. Stephen Covey, 89, Habits of Highly Effective People. When I first know who I am, what I do, and how I do it, and then I'm grounded, I'm centered, I'm present, I'm in my power, then I can seek to understand. Yes, and I can relate, because I understand if I'm using an outward and maintaining an outward mindset, I'm getting out of the box with others. I'm not seeing people as irrelevancies, objects, or vehicles. if Mary wasn't even in this department, do you know how fast this project would get completed? Right? I'm not seeing Mary like that. If I'm using an outward mindset, I'm seeing people as people. I'm using all three of my thinking brains, right? Then I can understand. I can really get to know her and understand. Oftentimes in leadership, people understand me first, but Stephen Covey says, try to seek to understand the other person first, then the other way will come back to you. Leading with love. Leading with love involves showing empathy and care and respect for yourself, your family, your team, and your community. As I was writing my dissertation, I contacted the authors of one of our books, The Leadership Challenge, Barry Posner and Jim Kouzes, from the authors of The Leadership Challenge. And I remember calling Dr. Barry's office. His secretary said he was in Turkey. I said, okay, well, can you give me his cell phone number? I have a couple of questions. And she laughed and laughed, and she gave me that cell phone number. And I called him in Turkey. And we talked for a little bit, and he gave me Jim's number. And I called Jim, and he was living in Palo Santo. I'm sorry, not Palo Santo, in Laguna Niguel. And I called, his wife answered. I said, oh, I would like to speak to your husband, Jim. And she's like, and what is this concerning? And what I remember about that, we laughed. She and I laughed. And she said, he's on a golf course. And I said, does he have a cell phone on the golf course? You know, like, I'm trying to reach him. And so anyway, we talked and we communicated through email. And he said at the end of his email, lead him with love, Nicole. Yeah, I remember that. I got permission to use some things in their book. And he always signed off with me, lead him with love. So I think this is my testament to those two. There's another handout. Love yourself the way you love others. You know how we're going to do it here. 90 seconds. 90 seconds. I'll give you some time to find that handout. Love yourself the way you love others. Take the unmitigated communion scale test by Fritz and Higelson and figure out if you spend too much time caring for others or not enough time caring about yourself. Answer the following questions and how you relate to friends and family. Be truthful on a scale of 5, with 1 being strongly agree, strongly disagree, and 5 being strongly agree. Don't overthink it. After you've recorded your responses, add up the numbers and divide it by 9 to get your mean score. Scores above 3 indicate that your caring is lopsided. You need to think more about yourself and a little less about others. I'll give you a few moments to try to add them up and see where you're kind of averaging out. Leslie, I'm coming to you. How did you do on your assessment?
It was 1.7. It was definitely below 3.
Do you think this is accurate right now?
I do, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a strong believer in self-care. So I walk my talk, and my friends will also say, yeah, she takes care of her first. She's there for us when we need her, but she takes care of her first.
Thank you. Someone else. If we haven't heard you today, we'd like to hear you. Yes. You're a helper. You're serving. You're serving. Okay. Others. If we haven't heard you today. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you. I am at a 2 just because I like to mind my own business, and unless somebody asks me for help, I won't be giving it. But if I see you struggling, I'm more than happy to help you. But I think being so young and just starting my professional career, I have a lot to learn, and I kind of want to just stay in my own lane and then see if somebody can reach out to me and help me, or someone else needs help, and I'm happy to do that.
How would we know that you needed help?
I will be crying in the corner, struggling. Overwhelmed.
overwhelmed. Okay, so we have to use our sensing brain. We know people like this. We have to use our sensing brain and say you will accept help though. Yes, but will you ask for the help or okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Meekly, but yes. Yes.
Right before you posted the slide, I did want to raise my hand and talk about self-love. It's been a very popular statement, especially in modern spirituality away from religion. But I wanted to add something to it, which helps a lot, and it helped me a lot in my life journey. Going further from self-love to forgiving oneself constantly, and being kind to oneself constantly, because this always creates a breakthrough with relationships with others. When we're forgiving with ourselves, we start instantly forgiving others over and over, because our relationship with others reflect our relationship with ourselves. So no matter how shocking what I did was to anyone, I do forgive myself instantly, because this helps me take the right course of action immediately and think clearly. If I don't forgive myself, I won't be able to think clearly and correct it. So I think forgiving oneself constantly helps a lot.
I appreciate that. The compassion that we show to ourselves, like, do you like you? Liking you is being authentic. And people can tell how you treat yourself, how you might treat them. If you're unable to forgive yourself, move yourself forward, I'm locking up on that forgiveness for you. I mean, I don't rebuild the trust. Can I rebuild it with myself first? So it's always me first as the first system. It's individual, it's self first, and then I radiate out to my family, and then my community, and then my professional workspace, right? I can extend only what I have. I can extend only the grace that I'm giving myself. If my cup is half full or half empty, however you might see it, how can you pour from that? How can you give from that? So it needs to be full. You need to be full and filled up. This is a quote by Lucille Ball. Love yourself first and everything else falls into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. So how are you loving yourself? Being a contribution, random acts of kindness to yourself first and then others, learning to be present with yourself first and then others, appreciating how special you are, renewing your own mind and renewing your own thinking. For many of you, the holiday seasons are here. Take out the good stuff. Take it out. Don't just use it on that one day. Take it out and use it this Saturday. Like, make it special for you every day. Wear the nice coat. Wear it. Put on the nice jeans and slacks. Put on that suit. Where are you going? Absolutely to the grocery store. This is where I'm going. Why are you dressed so fabulously? Because my whole life is fabulous. Like, where are you going today? I don't know, but I'm going to look good doing it, right? Put it on. Put on your good things. Like, what do you do to fill yourself back up? Do those things. Leading with power. Now we have formal power and then we have personal power. So the formal power is legitimate power, your authority, your title, your position, coercive power, reward power, the ability to reward or take away the rewards and incentives, things like that. Technical power, if you only know how to operate, how to cut the checks, whatever it is to do, if she's not in, well, guess what? That check ain't getting cut, right? Because she's keeping that power for herself. So then many people are operating from formal power day to day because of why? Your position, your degree, your experience, your title, things like that. But you have your personal power that you can equally tap into, which I love. You have your personal power, charisma, expertise, and referent power. The ability to connect. When people see you as expert, that's the point of power. Referent power is the highest power base. Why? Because someone sees you, they admire you for who you are, how you're showing up, how you're standing up. And you might not think A can influence B, but B is looking at you. B wants to, I just want to make sure everything's right. Why? Because I respect Vanessa. Why? Because I respect her team. I respect this form. I want it to be prepared. I want it to be nice. Why? Because she's operating out of referent power. I sense it. I feel it. I want to elevate there to that level. So you're kind of like dancing between formal and informal, formal and personal, formal and informal. You know, I like to lean a little over here on the personal power, the charisma, the expertise, the referent power base. So it's all kind of power bases that you can pull from. You might have your primary and dominant power base, which is you are put in a place of authority and leadership, and you have an authorizer who's authorizing you to do these things. You might be over a team of 200, 2,000, 150 people, 10 people, right? So know when you need to pull from that power base, but when you need to inspire, lead with love, motivate, develop, raise up the morale, I think you got to get out of that formal power base and like tap into the personal power. Any questions or comments? Okay. Understanding, valuing your emotions. We have so many, right? I think sometimes we downplay it into maybe 6 categories: sad, happy, joy, things like that. But at our last talk, we gave a wheel of feelings, and it had 72 other. Would you like the wheel of feelings? Yes, we can send that out. It was a wheel of feelings with 72 other emotions and states of being. And one woman broke it down and she said, I'm in the brown color band throughout my day. Yeah. And she said, I want to be more in the pink and the blue. It was different words, right? And I thought, she's looking at it as color bands, right? That blew my mind. I was like, yes. She looked at it as color bands. I said, that's wonderful. But we'll share that the wheel of feelings and emotions with you so you can pinpoint exactly like how you're feeling and sensing in a moment. I'm always checking in with Nicole because I don't want to go into Stater Brothers and bite somebody's head off. And so I'm always checking in, and so how are you feeling? Are you ready to interact and engage with people today? If not, you might want to order and have that delivered, something like that. Call Amazon, Uber Eats, Instagram. Somebody needs to just DoorDash this thing to me if I'm not ready to be with people, right? If I want to be with people, I want to make a positive impact. I want to spread joy and bliss and encouragement. I don't want to walk in and just, be out of sorts. Yes. Absolutely not.
I love that, and I totally appreciate that. However, if you are in a position of overseeing a team of people and you're not feeling it and you want to, Uber Eats or whatever, but you got to be there, what do you do to bring it to the people when you're not feeling it?
So I use a lot of scents, aromatherapy, things like that. I have something in the car I can share with you. I rub it in my hands and I get three good deep breaths. I step aside from others and I say I need a moment, and it doesn't take long. I can do it in like a minute or so just to kind of recalibrate myself. I like to anchor things in my room or my office, something I can look at that brings me joy, inspiration, and it reminds me of something. So that could be a certificate, an award, a picture from your child, anything that anchors you. So I like to have a visual anchor around me, something to remind me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. And then I step back into the work. And the work is hard. Why? Because we decided to be leaders. It's not to say that being an exemplary follower is any less. To be an exemplary follower, and notice I'm saying exemplary follower. I know how to stand in that role because we shared that you can lead from any chair, anywhere within an organization in your life. You can lead from the sidelines and cheer others on. You can lead from the back of the line. I can lead from the middle of the line, and I can be in front of that line. Right? And so it's not to put down followers. It's just that when it's time to like show up, when you're not ready, like tune in with yourself first. Yes.
I just had a comment to add to your question. And it was, Nicole, was something you said earlier that was really empowering, and that was about being genuine. And I think sometimes in leadership, it's okay to show up and be honest about what percentage you're at that day. Because I feel like that really empowers people that work with you to see honesty and so they can feel like they can show up at 85% sometimes too. So I think in addition to finding those visuals and practices that can at least bump you up a few numbers, being honest about where you are that day, and figuring out how you can others can support you in filling up the other percentage.
85 is strong, 85 is good. I'll take an 85 from people. I'll take an 80. I'll even dip down to 75. Now 70, I'm like cutting kind of close. They might have a bad attitude, but they still showed up, right? They're doing it. They're present. But 75, I'll take that. Yeah. Maybe throughout the day, we can build up the other 25%. Let's take a quick moment and pause and reflect. This activity is focused on serving others. Take a moment. Focus on serving others. The less you focus on yourself, the happier you'll be. List 5 ways you can or do serve others in your intimate circle. Don't overthink it. Is there anybody who will speak if called upon? You can just flag me. Okay. I have 1, 2, and 3 in the back. Okay, so Kristen.
So when I first started thinking about this one, because you were talking about, your nuclear, well, you said family, so I was thinking of my nuclear family. And there's a lot of times when, after a long 10-hour work day, when my kids all want to tell me what's going on in their lives, and they're very small, minor things, and sometimes I just think, oh my gosh, I don't have the time to listen to this. I have 17 other things that I need to do, and now I have 30 emails that I need to respond to. So I try to be very present when my children are speaking, and to genuinely listen, to try to put my stuff aside and to really be present in the moment, in their authenticity and their need to share and have support, even if it's just a cheerleader, a fan. So that's one of the ways that I try really hard to show up, even when I'm really busy, and to show care for them. Yeah.
I would like to act that out. What might that look like when the children are coming up to you and you have your computer and you're just like, what? Do you want the snacks? You have the whole key to the whole snack cabinet, right? So here's what I learned from GSEP. Dr. Van Caesar says to lower my computer screen to the 35-degree angle. Everyone take your hand up and just sort of, don't close it because you don't want to close out your programs. Just like lower it. And then do this. Just shift your body just a little bit. There you go. And then just look at them. So now you're saying you have my attention. I'm not at 35-degree angle, right? I've shifted my body, I've turned my upper torso, and I'm looking at them. Something small like that.
And to piggyback on that, actually, my number 3 is to give them my full attention when they call. I cannot tell you, I have one friend in particular that she loves apologizing for the noise in the background, but there's always noise in the background. And she thinks it's just the noise she immediately hears. But it's like, I need you to understand that you are always calling me when you're on the go. So there is always noise in the background. And what I do for all of my friends, for anyone who calls me, I give them my full attention. I stop what I'm doing, I listen, and I participate in the conversation, not doing a bunch of things at once. So I think that that's so important when it comes to listening.
Would you share if called upon? Yes. And then you can pass the mics.
Okay. So I'm a teacher. So one of the big ways I show up every day is by teaching, and always checking in with my students, asking them every morning how their night was, how was your day, what did you do yesterday? And I allow a lot of space for them to talk, to chat with each other, and to just kind of share how their day was, and not go right into the lesson. So, yeah. Hey, hey.
Checking in with them and asking them on a scale of like 1 to 5, where are you right now? And if they say like a 2 or a 1, I say, how can I help get you to a 3? If they say a 3, I'm like right in the middle, like I see, so. I say, what can I do to get you to a 4? Not all the way to the 5 and the 10s, because that might be a big jump for some, but just like, what can I do just to make it a little better? Yes.
So I really like this worksheet because you made me kind of think about service in a different way. Because when I think of service, I think like my job, like what I do in my community, right? And I'm a therapist, so I feel like I show up and I make space for a lot of people on the daily. And to kind of apply that to my inner circle, it just kind of shifts that conversation. Like, how do you serve people that are immediately around you? And what's your name again? Kristen literally said like all 3 things that were on my list. And when I was making my list, I'm like, is this too vague? Like, is this too general? But really, I think when it comes down to what I'm realizing is like being present with people. And how many times like am I on my phone when my 3-year-old is just like, look at me, like, what am I doing, you know? And I've just been making a point to be more present. I think that's the most wonderful gift that we can give another person, especially people that are closest to us, is our undivided attention. And to listen actively and be present in that way as well. And I actively listen for my work all the time. And sometimes at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, okay, I need a break, right? Like, I would like to zone out and do something else. And I've been a little bit more mindful about doing active listening with my family. And the last one I wrote down was like, keep showing up. Even when I don't feel like it. Because there's moments when, I think Maria was mentioning, 85% of, okay, even if I can give 60, 65, 70, whatever it is, if I keep showing up, sometimes that's all people need from you. So
Before we pass the mic, you're going to leave with Become a Better Listener handout. I haven't forgotten. We're not doing that together. That's your parting gift. That's for you to take home and like, how are you going to become a better listener? So that activity is for you to leave with. I wanted to address one thing though. You said, how do you be present a little more? So one practice you learn a lot in the doctoral program, okay? And so there's so much. You just learn a lot because it's a deconstruction, it's a tearing down, and then there's a reconstruction and a building back up. And I've been built back up. So I hope my confidence isn't offending anyone. It's the way I've been rebuilt. It's the way I'm structurally built now. It's the way my mind is built now. I'm thinking I can, I will, I must. This is how I'm waking up. And when I'm not feeling the power, I just lay there until I like get 17 seconds of a good feeling thought, and then I get myself up and ready for the day. So in the doctoral program, we had all these exercises of things to do personally, professionally, and academically, right? It's like the whole spread. And one of them were, how do you be more present as an executive leader? Well, one practice I started was, when I come into the home, no more walking in the home being on my telephone. If you like that, give me a 2 clap. Just when I walk in the door, if I can talk all the way up to the door, and then I say, sister, I gotta go, I'm about to go into the home. Why? Because I want to give my husband, my son, my daughter their full due share of me, right? They want a piece of me, and I need to have some reserve left for them. And it can't be my empty tank reserve. It needs to be good, full reserve, because they have, look at this. Look what they want to show me the poses. They want to show me the art. I'm homeschooling. He wants to show me the stuff. I mean, it's like when I walk in. So that was just one practice of like being present, not walking in on the phone with anyone, not my parents, not my sister, not a business partner, anybody. I have to go, I'm walking into the home, because there's a threshold. And once I cross it, I'm in a whole new space. The space is my home. Right? And so I can pick it up a little later, but I'm not going to go through the doorway and the threshold with that conversation. Yes.
Appreciate what you just said too. I was thinking as well, because sometimes I get overwhelmed by all the needs around me and all the ways that I can serve and care for others. So really inviting the Holy Spirit into that space to say, God, what are you leading me to do today? And like allow me to see the people around me that you want me to minister to, because otherwise, yeah, you could spend your whole day just like serving others or doing things for others, and then you're completely depleted. But I think when you invite the Holy Spirit into that space, like there's intentionality with that, and you know that it's from him and not from you. So
Heidi.
I appreciate the exercise and just thinking kind of out of the box about those things. And so it came to me, sometimes I have the gift of being able to make people laugh. And then, you know, that probably gives them some little dopamine or something too. So just sending little funny things to people one way or the other, or getting them out of where they are by seeing the humor in a situation.
Yeah, something I think is helpful for me is to acknowledge the other person about something. So even if it's somebody that I don't particularly like, or like maybe there was some sort of stress or tension between us, if I can think of something good and acknowledge them for whatever it is, hey, congratulations on that sale, or hey, you know, I noticed you, whatever, good for you. Like it just changes that whole energy around us together. And
Thank you for that. If we haven't heard from you, we see Judy. Yes. We're winding it down. We want to hear from each of you. So if we didn't hear your voice, we would like to hear it before you leave.
Thank you. As usual, I enjoy hearing and being exposed to your information. But I just wanted to make a comment as someone who's gone through raising kids, working 2 jobs, being a wife, a child and all. So much is being said, and it's very credible to be in the present. Sometimes step out of the present and go into the future. Yes, you're exhausted. I've been there. You have used every ounce of energy. I've been there. But step out of the present for a moment, go into the future. When your child, and it's going to fly by, my daughter's 41, it's going to fly by. When your child is now an adult, do you want to know that you stopped, put your laptop screen down 30 degrees, 35 degrees, and listened, or do you want to I'll be with you in a minute, years from now, and have your child remember that. Live in the present, but also step out sometimes into the future.
Yes. Anyone else? She said, I knew it. I said, if they make eye contact, that means we're connected, we're engaged. Okay.
So I think the first thing I wrote for focusing on serving others, and what she mentioned about inviting in the Holy Spirit, and for me right now it's just to pray for them. Besides being present, I think that's probably the greatest gifts that we can give to another person, because it removes you. Yes, it may be you doing it, but honestly it's something beyond us that we can't see. So you can serve in a tangible way, and it's something that's always going to be a measurement, you know, because we're human, especially as women. But I think the way that you can honestly serve is always going to be beyond you. So that removes your ego. It removes so much of an identity we're trying to form. But in reality, it's something that's just going to be your greatest gift, right? Which is going to be what you have, and that's going to be the blessing to everybody around you. So inviting in that Holy Spirit, because it removes you, removes your ego, removes this identity you're trying to form. So it's always going to be serving to someone else. And honestly, that's the best form of love that you're going to be able to give and receive.
I love that. And I would like to demonstrate that. What might that look like? When we step out, God steps in. That's what it looks like. A little bit of surrendering there. We're wrapping it up. Would anyone like to share the best thing you've learned today? Yes. The mic is coming. Best thing you've learned.
Yeah, I want to emphasize the beginning of the presentation, which spoke about doing things from inside. Because I think it's not only about leadership, everything in life is from inside. Like, tell a woman to lose weight and give her a diet that doesn't work for her body. Maybe she leans towards veganism or towards animal products, or she doesn't like intermittent fasting. If this woman doesn't listen to her body, it won't work. So I think everything is from the inside and should start from inside.
Thank you so much. Miss Celia, the best thing you've learned today.
I was taking a nap. No, I'm just best thing I learned today is to be a good listener. Excuse me. You got to be a good listener, not just when somebody's talking. You got to listen to what they're saying, because sometimes when you're not listening, they'll be like, "Well, she don't care what I say." You know, you have to pay attention, be present, not playing with your phone, playing with your pen, playing with your fingers. You know, somebody talking to you because they have something to say to you, and they want to release something. Something's on their mind and they want to release it, and they be like, "You have a minute to talk?" And you go, "Yeah, but you doing other things and you're not being present." And they feel very uncomfortable. They might not tell you, but when they walk away, you feel it also. You be like, "You know what? I wasn't very attentive to what he or she was saying to me." So we have to do that much better, listening when people speaking. You know, they're hurting. Right. They're hurting. And if they're speaking to you, it's because they're hurting and they need your advice.
Thank you. That's my mom. If you can draw a box, I'm going to come to you in 1 second. If you can draw a box on your paper, anywhere where you're feeling comfortable and you're taking notes. This is also from GSEP. Dr. Van Caesar, word in the box. We're going to do a little mood check before you leave. Drop one word in that box exactly how you are feeling right now. Don't overthink it. Just write the word. This should be fast. It's just a word. I'm not talking about your physiological state, like I'm so tired, I'm hungry, I'm sleepy. Not that. How are you feeling right now in the moment? Who has a word? What's your word? Word. 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 Miss Leslie. Miss Judy. Love. Inspired. Happy. Word. Connecting. Rejuvenated. Anyone else back there? Get everyone. Validated. Everybody can be a great leader because anybody can serve. From anywhere, from any chair. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. I like that part. And you only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Here are some of our references. This is my sister and I. You can scan that. This is our company, TetraCore. We're glad to be here with all of you. Anytime we have an opportunity to bring in another small business with us, we like to do that. And what we have today is a feel-good juice. It's by Miss Bobby Wilkerson. And each of you have one on your table. She says it's best when you warm it up, although you can drink it just like that. And we would like to invite Miss Leslie to share the ingredients.
Thank you. All right. I'm saving my best, my favorite for last. It's shots of ginger, echinacea, turmeric, peppermint, agave, lemon juice, love and integrity, and best of all, no foolishness.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoy, and we want to thank Pepperdine University and the Lifelong Learning Women's Forum, and also Vanessa and her team for a lovely day. My name is Dr. Nicole Johnson.